What's up guys, dinofries here, and today I'm going to give you guys an assassin guide because I'm a hermit and I think I know a thing or two about assassins at this point. We're going to go over stats, skills, equipment, training, some tips and tricks, and then eventually we'll talk about what it means to be a hermit, but overall we're just going to go through the assassin job, second job, get into second job, and where you'll be once you get to third job, which is again hermit. Before we dive into today's video, quick shout out to today's sponsor, AweSun. MapleStory Worlds is coming to mobile, but it's not there yet, and workarounds can be a pain. That's where AweSun steps in. It lets you control your PC remotely from your phone, so you can game anywhere. The free version lets you access your PC and use a virtual mouse, but the game plan is where it's at. You can fully customize your controls, set your keys, and you're ready to go. AweSun also offers cool features like remote CMD, Android device control, and power scheduling to save on your electricity bill. The basic version is free, but you can upgrade for even more features. Try the game plan free for 7 days with my code dinofries. But hurry, it's only available for the first 200 users. Just head to their website, sign in, and apply the code to get started. I've been using the game plan to play Artale, and I love how customizable it is. You can tweak performance settings and get discounts when you add more devices, up to 40% off. So grab your 7-day free trial with code dinofries and check the link in the description for more details. Thanks to AweSun for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the content. So when you first start out in Artale, you're gonna have to roll the dice to determine what your starting strength, dexterity, intelligence, and luck. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to roll 4 strength and 4 int. That's it. It doesn't matter what your dex and luck is. Just try to get 4 strength and 4 int, because when you become an assassin, it requires 25 dex. So eventually you're going to want to add that 25 dex. You should do it first. Just get that dex to 25, then start pumping luck. And there you go. You got first job. You're an assassin now. So after you get first job, you're going to keep adding luck. Keep your dex at 25 at first. And then eventually you're going to want to get to 50 dex by the time you reach level 25. Now I know what you're thinking. What? I'm not going dexless? Dexless sin? No. In Artale, there are no maple weapons yet. There are no maple claws, there's no maple candio, and there's certainly no maple scanda, which are weapons that don't require dex to use, and they are the bread and butter of the dexless sin. We don't have those in Artale, but there is a way for you to go low dex and still maintain a similar power output like the classic dexless sin would. So the reason why you want to get to 50 dex by level 25 is because you want to be able to wear the Amoeba. This is a 16 attack claw that has a faster attack speed, which is the fastest in the game. And this is kind of like a benchmark where you want to basically place yourself at level 25 with the base dex of 50. And what you're going to want to do is get a good Amoeba, whether that, depending on where your funds are at, you're going to want to either 100% scroll it for attack. So that's like an easy 7 attack extra, which will put you at a 23 attack Amoeba, which is fantastic. In case you aren't aware, weapon attack scales the most when it comes to assassins. So for example, +1 weapon attack means more for assassins than it does for any other class. And also, I forgot to mention, I'm in Elnoth right now at the weapon store. This is where you can get Amoeba. You can also grab Amoeba at the Ludibrium weapon store. Pick your poison. I guess it just depends on where you can get to quicker. It's kind of a similar, kind of takes you a similar amount of time to get to Elnoth or Ludi. I guess you can also plan out like, oh, and where am I training at this level bracket? Something to also consider is the Elnoth store. The weapon store is also sells black snowshoes, which are level 30 shoes for Thief, which you might want to get your hands on. So you can kind of kill two birds with one stone there, as opposed to Ludi Brium. So I mentioned scrolling your claw with 100% attack scrolls. You're gonna find a guy. You can buy these scrolls straight from an NPC in the Swamp of Despair 2 in Kernan City. Just enter the swamp and go just one map right, and here you will find my dude. I forgot his name. What's his name? Tulkas. Tulkas will sell you these scrolls. This is I did this when I had my Amoeba, you know, 7 attacks if I couldn't afford 60% scrolls or 10%. 100s work just fine when you're in a pinch. The next benchmark for dex is going to be 90 dex, and you're going to want to hit 90 dex by level 50. We're going to cover how you can get dex aside from just adding it directly from equipment, but since we're just going over stats right now, and again, all you have to worry about is how much luck. Basically, you know, pump your luck and add dex as necessary. At this point, at level 50, you could possibly, depending on your funds, get 40 dex from your equipment to be able to stay at 50 base dex and be able to wear a Dark Slain. It's, you know, it's just up to you, but when you're level 50, you should either from equipment or base dex. I don't see anything wrong with even 90 base dex, but you can probably hit that with your equipment at like 50 base dex, maybe 60, 70. We'll talk about that later on in the video, but at this point, at level 50, this is another benchmark. You want to have 90 dex so you can wear a Dark Slain. Obviously, the one I'm looking at right now is 25 mil. That's probably going to be out of your price range, but you can just buy one straight up. You can get a crappy one for, as you see, 110k. Scroll it with 100% scrolls, and that puts you at 32 attack, which is a lot higher than your 23 attack Amoeba at this point if you 100% scrolled it. But you know, just browse the auction house, see if you can get what I like to call a scrolling reject. Browse the auction house at level 50. You should probably have at least a mil at this point on your hands to be able to get a good Dark Slain. I recommend buying it. Try to get yourself a scrolling reject, but regardless, this is where you get your next claw upgrade, which is the Dark Slain. Again, level 50, 90 dex. And then finally, once you get to the end of your assassin journey and you get to level 70, I know I'm kind of going ahead of myself here. We have a lot more to talk about in this video, but since we're going over stats, eventually you're going to want to hit 110 dex. Again, not sure where your base dex will be at this point. I myself have 85 base dex, and I was able to hit this at this level. Just for future reference, eventually you're going to want to hit 110 dex. Think of it as a goal, right? As an assassin, you're just pumping luck, right? Really, all you have to worry about is where my dex is at, and that's like what it means to be an assassin. Is you're going to work on your equipment, and you're going to try to keep your dex as low as possible by getting dex upgrades through your equipment slots. Once again, level 70, you're going to want to have 110 110 total dex to be able to wear a scarab. There's green scarabs, there's brown scarabs, there's blue scarabs, there's also black scarabs, but they're a bit rarer. And once again, you know, for this, I don't recommend you go hunt it yourself. You can. They drop from Yeti and Pepe, a popular training spot that is fine for you to go to make money in general. Or, you know, browse the auction house, get yourself. You can also do this for the Amoeba, by the way. I should have mentioned that. You can probably look up amoebas as well. And once again, get a godly one. I don't recommend it. You'll probably get to level 50 soon enough, and you probably will outgrow your amoeba. But you can certainly get a scrolling reject amoeba here. So you don't, let's say you don't want to go to Elnoth or Ludi and get your own, and you just want to buy one off of it. You can see, I mean, this saves you the trip, right? The amoeba costs 60k from an NPC. You can buy it for 80k if you want to save a trip, or get a scrolling reject if you would like. The choice is yours. But back to the scarab, this is another case where, so by this point, like, this scarab is what you're going to want to use for a while. At this point, you could possibly get a scrolling reject. For example, this green scarab is 200k. It's 41 attack. What was your dark slain? Probably a lot less than 41 attack. So maybe you just want to pick this up for an easy 200k. Use this in the meanwhile, because really the upgrades you're going to get, so the highest is 50 attack, right? And that's 175 mil compared to 200k. And how much attack does it go up? 9. That's significant for an assassin, but you're gonna want to look at the big picture and realize that just dropping that 200k for a 41 attack scarab is good enough. Okay, now let's talk skills. So as a beginner, I added 3 snails, and I did nimble feet. I just resetted my skill points because once you get haste, nimble feet is unnecessary. But if it was up to me, I would do nimble feet. You could do recovery if you would like an HP boost. I did 3 snails and nimble feet. I highly recommend nimble feet, 3 snails, and recovery. The choice is yours. Then once you get to first job, I recommend you max lucky 7 first for the most damage as possible. Then you're going to want to put 3 into nimble body. Then you're going to want to max keen eyes, because this increases the range of your throwing stars. It goes all the way over there. Big range. That's thanks to keen eyes. Then you're going to want to finish up maxing nimble body. And then you're going to want to put the rest of what you have into dark sight. I recommend dark sight over disorder. You may want to put points into disorder later on because it's good for Boston, or at least it's beneficial for Boston. It's kind of like a why wouldn't I use this skill if I have it during Boston to reduce the boss's weapon defense, i.e. ignore enemy defense. But yeah, lucky 7 for damage, then keen eyes for range, then just finish up nimble body for that accuracy and avoid, and then get some dark sight, which lets you phase through enemies without taking damage. You will still take magic damage, however, if they target you. Moving into second job, the assassin, you're going to want to start off with putting 3 into claw mastery, then immediately maxing critical throw. Now, why wouldn't I max claw mastery? It makes, you know, my claw better. It's just a straight upgrade, and I get more accuracy. Well, lucky 7 is weird in the sense that the damage is applied based on your luck. It literally says it right there, regardless of the rate of claw mastery. And you are using lucky 7 in first job and second job and third job. You use that skill forever. So you're going to want to max critical throw first and foremost, and then after you max critical throw, you could go ahead and put 6 into claw booster, then max haste, then max claw mastery, and then I went back and I maxed dark sight, and then I maxed endure. However, you might want to put points into drain to save money. Drain, you throw out a star and it leeches HP off the monster, helps with potion costs. Endure is just a passive amount of HP and MP that you recover over time. And then, as I said before, disorder is good for Boston if you want to think long term. Now let's go back a bit. I do want to mention that if you have a pet on, I have a pet, so I have auto buff on my pet, meaning that my pet always keeps up haste and claw booster. So what I did, which is a little hack, I like to call it, is you could put 1 point into claw booster and you will always have claw booster up. Even though at level 1 it only lasts like a very small amount of time, if you have enough funds and you don't and you it's very good. It's really good, really good hack. It'll make you level faster. So you could put 5 into claw mastery, then 1 into claw booster, and then max critical throw. And you could do claw, and you could even max claw booster last, considering you have the funds, and you don't mind spending the large cost of HP and MP every time your pet casts booster for you. So now let's go over equipment. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys a quick showcase what I have going on right now. I am level 92. I'm a level 92 hermit, so I'm way further along than you guys probably are watching this guide in your second job, assassin hood. So but let me show you what I got. So the first thing, well, let's talk about the first thing that you're going to want to do, right? So I went over laws. Now I wound up shooting for 120 dex to use the black mamba. You don't have to. I actually do recommend you shoot for 120 dex, but shooting for 110 dex and using the scarab is perfectly fine. You can continue to invest in dex on your equipments to be able to use a black mamba at level 80. Again, with 120 dex, you'll get some. It'll make it easier for you to upgrade, as the black mamba clean has more attack than a scarab clean. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your hands on a nice work glove with weapon attack. Now I have 8 weapon attack gloves. I scrolled them myself. You can farm your own glove for attack, 60% scrolls at Platoon Chronos or Forest of Golem 4, but generally this is the first upgrade you're going to want to do, because again, as I mentioned previously in the video, weapon attack is huge for assassin damage output. So the first upgrade you're going to want to get and invest in are decent work gloves with attack. You can actually get 5 attack work gloves, which comes from 5 glove for attack, 100% scrolls. That's 5 attack. It'll be a cheap, nice upgrade. That could be your baseline once you have the funds for it, and that'll carry you until you invest in your equipment with dex. The next upgrade you're going to want to keep in mind of is an overall. So I'm using top and bottoms. This isn't something you have to worry about until you get later on in the game. So the way it works, right? So basically, this is what I want you guys to think. Okay, so your helmet, that's going to be scrolled with dex. Your overall or your overall or bottoms, those will be scrolled with dex. Your top will be scrolled with luck. Your earrings will be scrolled with luck. Your shoes will be scrolled with dex. Your cape will have dex, and then these glasses you can get through LPQ. Those will probably stay clean, and then we'll talk about throwing stars in a bit. So once you get to level 35, you can use a blue Avenger. This is another dex benchmark I would recommend you putting yourself at. 70 base dex, totally fine in my opinion, because the blue Avenger has clean. It gives you dex. It gives you, you're gonna probably like an average of 5 dex, and you could scroll this with 100% overall dex scrolls, which you get from Tulkas, the guy who sold you the claw attack, 100% scrolls. So you 100% this, that's an easy and cheap 15 dex. Okay, now let's talk about helmet dex, right? So these scrolls, helmet dex 100%, kind of pricey. You're probably, to be the most money conscious, you're probably gonna look at getting a helmet that was similar to mine. I'll show you guys again. So once again, I'm wearing a level 80 helmet, but it has 5 dex. So basically, you want to say like, okay, how much dex do I have? What's my level? What thief equipment can I get that has dex on it that I can that gives me a good baseline at its clean state that I can throw 700% helmet dex scrolls on this, and boom, that's another 7 dex. Now let's talk about errands. So scroll for errand for luck 10% are currently 200k, right? Which is not the cheapest, but it's not too terrible. They're also 10% scrolls, so you might fail a bunch, but basically take a look at how much more expensive dex would be to scroll your errands. 5 mil for a 10% scroll. That's why you want to scroll your errands with luck. This is not an essential upgrade. You can worry about this later, but generally you're going to probably want to scroll your errands for luck. Me personally, I was able to land a 10% scroll, and then I just finished it off with 100%, and that gave me plus 7 luck errands. So now let's talk about top. Okay, so there are no top wear dex scrolls. That's why I say you can choose between an overall with dex, or you can do top and bottoms. You'll scroll your top with luck. As you can see here, I have an 8 dex, 7 luck top. I found a nice clean 8 dex brown studded top, and I just threw 7 100% top lucks on it, and I got plus 7 luck on that. Now let's talk bottom wear, okay? Scrolling your bottoms for dex is probably the most expensive upgrade you will do. Definitely save this for last. As you can see, a 10% scroll costs 6 mil. What I recommend you do when you come to this point is you're going to want to scroll it with, in my opinion, 7 dex 100% scrolls, which are 1.5 mil each. So right now I have clean light Scorpio pants, which give me plus 5 dex without any scrolls on it. Eventually, I'm going to scroll these with 7 100%. That puts it at a plus 12 dex pants. Okay, now let's talk shoes. So the scroll you're going to want for your shoes is scroll for shoes for jump 10%, not dex. Shoe dex scrolls give you accuracy and avoid. They don't give you dex, despite what their name says. You're going to want to look for the jump scrolls for shoes. These are not too bad to scroll. Also, you're definitely going to want to scroll probably black snowshoes. These are different than other shoes because they have 7 slots as opposed to 5. Also, they're nice because there's no dex requirement to use these. So generally what I would recommend is you try to land a 10% and then finish the rest of the slots off with 60% scrolls. Why? Well, scroll for shoes for jump 100% doesn't give any dex. As you can see, 60% give you 1 dex, 10% give you 3. So this is probably an expensive upgrade that you may want to prioritize later. Obviously, you prioritize what's going to give you the most dex, the most bang for your buck, the most dex for your buck. So right now I'm wearing red pirate boots. When these were clean, these were 5 dex, 3 luck, again 5 slots. So I threw 5 60% scrolls on this. 3 worked. These were comparable to the snowshoes I was wearing before, which were 7 dex. Obviously I got 1 more dex with these and 3 luck, so it was a no-brainer. And last but not least, let's talk about capes. So scroll for cape for dex, 10%, give you a plus 3 dex. Very expensive scrolls. I would actually recommend, it's way cheaper to just scroll your cape with 5 hundos. As you can tell, these are 25k each, so you can get an easy 5 dex on your cape. I was too afraid to scroll a cape with 10%, so I got lucky. I threw 5 60s on it. They all worked, and I ended up with a 10 dex cape. You might not get as lucky as me, but also capes don't cost any dex to equip. They're a common item. Yeah. The lowest level you can equip a cape is level 25. You can either do a quest that rewards you the old raggedy cape and then scroll that with 5 dex, for example, or of course, as I said before, and I want to reiterate, buy yourself a scroll and reject. That could get you further. Just check the auction house, see if you can get a deal before you invest more money into something that you might be able to get for less through the auction house, through somebody else. Now, last but not least, while we're still talking about equipment, I want to talk about laddering. So there's this funny little thing you can do in artale called laddering, or that's what people call it, right? So watch this. So I'm gonna unequip my Deckscape, right? Boom. Now suddenly all my stuff went off. That's because, you know, this was important to my equipment. So let's try and equip my thing. Oh, I can't. I don't have enough decks. Okay. So okay, I'll put on the green Sonata, right? So that has enough decks. I was able to wear this. Okay, I can wear the light Scorpio pants. Can I wear my brown studded top yet? No. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wear a 12 decks wooden club. Then now I could wear the brown studded top. I didn't even need the green Sonata at this point. Let's go ahead and equip my pirate hat back on. And oop, can't wear it yet. Let's put those shoes on. Now let's try wearing the Mamba. Boom. There you go. Basically, laddering is you basically you equip something that gives you decks, and then you could put on something that requires more decks, and it'll replace it as long as it has a similar or more amount of decks applied. So as you can see, using the wooden club, I was able to get all of my gear back on, and I'm still able to wear my level 80 gear and my black Mamba. Okay, the last thing we'll talk about for equipment is throwing stars. So in artale, throwing stars count as a piece of equipment. So when you start out as a thief, you'll go ahead to the Kernan City weapons store. You'll buy yourself Subi throwing stars. Wow. The Night Lord, the Dark Lord job instructor doesn't give you any. You're gonna have to go over and get your own. They're only 5,000 mesos. No big deal. These have plus 15 weapon attack. The stars I'm using right now have plus 23 weapon attack. So what I'll say when it comes to throwing stars is this is unfortunately the worst part about being an assassin. So let's take a look at Wolby throwing stars. You can get these for 6k easy. These are the same price as Subis. You might as well buy these from the start. You get plus 17 instead of plus 15. Well, let's keep browsing, okay? Let's see what else we have here. Okay, snowballs, 17 weapon attack. Okay, 25k. Okay, let's see. Okay, mock beast, plus 19. What are the cheapest ones? 50k. Not so bad, right? Not so bad at all. Wooden tops, plus 19, similar to mock beast, 80k. Easy upgrade. If you can afford that from the get-go, you might as well. That's a plus 4 attack difference over Subis. Highly recommend you make that upgrade as soon as you can. Let's take another look. Oh, Kumbis. Okay, Kumbis. Plus 21 attack for 350k. Guess what, guys? When I was playing artale from the beginning, and I was you know, one of the first assassins, you know, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I bought Kumbis. First of all, they were really hard to find, as throwing stars have an incredibly low drop rate in artale, and they already had a low drop rate in vanilla old school Maple Story Classic. I bought Kumbis for 3 mil. Throwing star prices are funny. You can go ahead and hunt your own. I will leave down in the description below for where you can find the throwing stars. Shout out to my boy and guildie Baute for making this really handy Google Doc. I'll leave that in the description below. So basically, what you want to do with throwing stars, and you can disagree with me or agree with me or not, but they're really not that big of a deal. You could, if you can, you know, for what Subis were 50k, bro, start off with mock bees or wooden tops, you know, and then wait a little while. Maybe you skip Kumbis, even though they're only like 350k. Maybe you skip until you can afford. Let's keep going. Wow, there's a lot of Kumbis in the auction house. Here we go. Tobies. This is what I'm using right now. I'm a level 92 hermit, and this is all I'm able to use right now. Tobies are 4 mil, okay? And it's just a 2 attack upgrade over the 350k Kumbis. And that's because if you keep going, let's keep going. Let's see what other stars. Oh, oranges. 1 attack over Tobies, 25 mil. Okay, let's check out Steelies. Oh, plus 1 attack over oranges. Okay, how much does that cost? Oh, 170 mil. So basically, when it comes to throwing stars, you guys, the best advice I can give you is don't stress it too much. If you watch my live streams, you'll know that at the moment of this video going up, I'm currently hunting for steelies. It's just about the clout. I know that steelies only give me a +2 attack difference over the current Tobies I'm throwing right now. Don't stress about throwing stars too much. There are so many better upgrades you can make that will make your damage higher, such as, you know, keeping your dex as low as possible and pumping that luck, which which contributes to your overall damage output. Not as much as weapon attack, but luck makes a big difference. Get a good claw, get some good attack work gloves, and just work on the dex or luck on your equipments. Don't worry too much about throwing stars right now. Eventually, work your way up into either finding Tobies or buying them yourself, and you'll be set. Don't worry about steelies. Don't worry about ilbies. That's the best advice I can give you from one assassin to another. Now, last but not least, let's talk about training. So when it comes to training, all I can tell you is go check out my training guide. I published another video not too long ago that went over training. I did it from the point of view as an assassin, so it should very much apply to you. But basically what you're going to want to do is essentially just train at maps where you can 1 or 2 shot monsters. That's really all it comes down to, okay? So like, let's say you can like perfectly 2 shot monsters, you're probably going to want to train there, right? Let's say you can perfectly 1 shot monsters, you're probably going to want to train there. As you get to higher levels, as I am right now, it's okay. I'm like taking these guys down in like 6 or 7 shots each. That's different in third job. You're going to want to train on stronger monsters, but you are a single target class as an assassin, and you just want to go to where you can 1 or 2 shot monsters, maybe 3 shot if the experience ratio to the HP required to take down the monster is big enough. But just refer to my training guide video once again for more details. Now let's talk a couple of tips and tricks that you probably already know as an assassin. But just, you know, in terms of like range, you have to realize that like the range of Lucky 7 is kind of funny. As you can see here, I'm not only far away from these monsters, like let's see how far I can go. Pretty far, right? And also like there's some like verticality to when you throw Lucky 7. So keep that in mind if you're trying to like take advantage of maps and the platforms on maps to see if you can snipe. Another thing I want to talk about is Dark Sight. It's pretty self-explanatory. But Dark Sight only lasts 10 seconds in artale. It doesn't last forever. But I use Dark Sight all the time to get through monsters. It's good because they could knock you back, like when going up a ladder, and like possibly knock you off. Like for example, watch this. Ready? Let's say just try to jump in here. Wait, let's just try to. I have so much avoid. It's crazy. Let's try. I'm trying to like see. He blocked me, but if I had Dark Sight, I can go through it. Also, you can use Dark Sight while using Flash Jump. That doesn't apply to you assassins out there because you're not hermits yet, I presume. Something to keep in mind, and why I max Dark Sight. It's super useful to be able to Flash Jump while in Dark Sight. You can traverse the map easily. And then last but not least, which you guys, again, probably already know about, is Jump Attack. You can jump and attack. And you don't hit monsters close up. Shout out to the quality of life changes that artale gave us. But yeah, Jump Attack is your bread and butter for assassins. It's why you chose assassin. Let's be real. You can also like flash jump and then attack. Super useful. And that's that. I mean, that's the assassin guide. If you're watching still and you're like, okay, but what's next? Well, then you become a hermit. I'll give you guys a rough, you know, quick little I guess guide, let's call it, for being a hermit. I'm only a level 92 hermit right now. I don't feel like I'm qualified to give a full hermit guide at this point, but you know, you have things to look forward to. I put 1 in Avenger at level 70, then I maxed Shadow Partner, then I maxed Avenger. I also put 1 into Flash Jump after I had 5 Avenger just for the lulz. Now I'm maxing Flash Jump, then I'm gonna max Meso up, and then I'm gonna max Alchemist. You could skip Avenger entirely and go with Flash Jump before Avenger. You could skip both and go with Alchemist to save money on potions. Alchemist makes your potions more effective. You can go Meso up. Meso up increases the amount of Mesos that drop for monsters. Just don't put anything into Shadow Web or Shadow Meso, at least not at first. And yeah, congrats on becoming a hermit. If you get there, this is what you have to look forward to: is jumping around, flash jumping, throwing Avenger, Shadow Partner, hidden 4 lines, Meso up. So eventually a lot of Mesos will drop from these guys once I have Meso up, and my potions will be more effective. That also applies to buffs, like buffs to my attack, buffs to my avoidability, which I also forgot to mention. Buy dexterity pills, guys, in Ludibrium. It gives you plus 10 avoidability. Super helpful when you're grinding. All those misses will save you money on potions. All right, that's the end of my guide. That's the end of my assassin guide in Artale. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you found this video helpful. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like and comment down below. Let me know if this guide helped you. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, thanks again for watching, you guys. Appreciate you. Tune into my live streams. Consider becoming a member, hitting that join button down below on YouTube. Next to the subscribe button. It helps me out. Thanks again for watching. Appreciate you guys. Peace out.